I'm shocked. Why am I shocked? I'm shocked because this is a 2-liter engine, and this is also a Volkswagen Atlas Cross Sport, which is a cavernous vehicle. It is absolutely huge. I drove this vehicle on last year's show, and by the way, we got lots of shows on the channel, so please do like and subscribe, pass it along to a friend. But right now, today, I got to thank Van over at Mississauga Volkswagen for loaning me this beautiful Volkswagen Cross Sport 2021, of course. This happens to be a Highline, of which the lines go Trend, Comfort, Highline, and Exec Line. I can't believe this is a 2-liter engine. This doesn't make any sense. Why can't I believe? Because I'm in a cavernous vehicle. I'm in a Volkswagen Atlas, but not any Atlas. I'm in the Volkswagen Atlas Cross Sport, which is a smaller version of the Atlas, but smaller. It's kind of funny coming from a sports car and getting into this thing and calling this thing the smaller version. This is a huge vehicle. It's absolutely gargantuan inside. And I got to thank Kevin for setting me up with the vehicle, as well as their great salespeople for helping me out and giving me some details on the vehicle. And I got to say, I have driven the Atlas before. I drove it last year. The interior has changed. It's a bit glossier and a bit prettier overall, which I have to say is really, really nice. But the Cross Sport, the main difference between the Cross Sport, by the way, is the fact that it only comes with 5 seats, so there's no chance of a row, which makes perfect sense because last I checked, most people are looking for a row per child nowadays. We don't really have to seat 8 people, but people want to have a row like per family member. But this is the, why build an Atlas like this? It's kind of like, well, you have an X5 BMW, why make the X6? Well, it's actually, it makes perfect sense for someone like myself. I live in a big city. I am single, but for those people who have just 1.5 kids, and you do live in a big city, and you don't necessarily have to tow a boat or anything, but you do have an active lifestyle. Your kids are, and yeah, with the 2-liter engine, like it's incredible how much get up and go there is, but at the same time, there's 8 speeds to choose from in the engine, so, or in the transmission rather, so I can understand why it actually moves just fine. I'm here in regular Mississauga traffic, and yeah, the thing just gets up and goes as soon as I tell it to. And being that it's a Volkswagen, particularly the Atlas itself, one of the things I noticed about the Atlas as soon as I started driving it was that it just reminded me of a big Tiguan. And if I drove a Tiguan, or rather, if you watch the video where I was driving the Tiguan, one of the things I say is it feels like a Golf, only higher up. So you really can feel the bloodline in the Volkswagen brand as you get into each and every vehicle, and the Atlas, of course, is no exception. Everything is very Volkswagen oriented, and you kind of presented with the new Volkswagen logo on the steering wheel, along with a lot of other bits and bobs on the inside that make it, I think, a glossier, a sort of a kind of more of a refined look. Volkswagens tend to have a lot of what some people refer to in the business as elephant skin, which is sort of like a gray, very durable, it cleans easy, it lasts a long time, but elephant skin isn't exactly the best way to put it. There's a lot less of that in the Atlas here, and if you see the interior, you see the mixtures of colors and textures. I love the steering wheel. The steering wheel and seating position in a Volkswagen, as with many German cars, for someone like myself who is 6'2", I really appreciate the way in which they do this sort of stuff inside the vehicles. It's on center, I feel comfortable, I'm sitting in this thing and driving it, and it's immediately one of the things I notice, and I do like to do these test drives by just hopping in the car and driving them right away. In fact, just as I was finishing my photography, one of the things I did was I sat behind the driver's seat, but I'd already set up my driver's seat. And like I said, I'm 6'2", so I usually need a fair amount of legroom. And after doing that, look at the space I filmed here between the rear seat and the driver. I mean, talk about space. Like, there's so much room in this car. And not to mention, one thing I really also like about those rear seats is the way they fold. Now, a lot of times people in the business, particularly the journalistic side of the business, one thing that they will talk about many times is a flat load floor. Now, I guess I sold German cars as German vehicles as well, and we rarely had a flat anything, but this is flat enough for one, but I love the way that you can fold the seat even with one hand. You'll notice here when I'm doing it here in the shot, I'm holding the camera with one hand, but I'm able to pop the adjuster and then lift the seat up. A lot of seats fold in this really great mechanical way right now, but unfortunately some of them do require two hands, others don't. Particularly on the rear rear driver side here, I can really appreciate that. And then when you kind of pan around and look, you can just see how much extra space there is on the inside of the vehicle. It really is. It's one thing that the sales rep, Sakir, who was kind enough to give me some pointers on the vehicle, he's like, oh, by the way, I drive one. And I said, well, hey, what is it, in particular that you love about it so much? He said, oh, the space. Like my kids, everybody fits in this vehicle for us. And I'm also not towing anything. So to get around the city and have a 2-liter engine and have, 2-liter fuel consumption, if you want to call it that, rather than having the V6. And with 235 horsepower and an 8-speed, I don't think for the person who doesn't need a 0 to 60 time closer to that of a sports car, this is definitely a vehicle worth looking at, because you'll save a ton of money year round, certainly on the fuel economy side of things. But also, if you don't need a third row, and you don't have a third row, you have this lovely floor at the back, which is, I think, also pretty fantastic. I mean, it's certainly, I can certainly see why they have a lot of interest in this vehicle. And this particular one, sheathed in this lovely gray. It's like gray clay, but then with a clear coat on top. I really got to say, the color, I hope it shows up well in the photography on the car, because it really, you have to see it. And I believe it's only available on the Cross Sport, in fact. So definitely a vehicle worth looking out. And if you do have a question that goes deeper than what this quick intro into the Atlas Cross Sport is, you can definitely talk to the folks over at Mississauga Volkswagen. They certainly help you out finding a vehicle. But we also got a lot of great shows on the channel. We got a number of videos from last year and a few more this year. Obviously things are a little bit slow due to the pandemic, and getting into vehicles and timing with clients is a little bit difficult. So I'd love to do more of these videos, of course, but I'm a little bit slowed down a little bit by what's happening, but not too much. My clients are awesome, and they're always kind enough to give me a nice clean version of something like this to go and drive and experience. So thanks to them as always, and thanks to you for subscribing and liking. One of the features I really love on the vehicle as well are the intelligent lights. When you look at the lights on the vehicle, if you take a good look at the front end on this one, you can see there's no fog lamps, and that's not a mistake or a missing option. That's because the intelligent lights, or the headlight system on the VW, is quite intelligent, and it'll actually adjust appropriately up, down, left, and right, depending on vehicles coming in the left lane, and so you don't flash your high beams or your headlamps to the oncoming driver. As well, even when it comes to poor conditions or poor weather, it'll tilt the headlights down so they're projecting more to the road rather than up in the air. Also, this thing is really quiet. I mean, I have tinnitus, and all I can hear is as I'm driving. This is so cool. This is a set of twisty roads here. This is a Mississauga road, and you can see my camera eye is actually set to move with motion, and I have to drive something this tall and this big. I gotta say, for what it is, I'm really shocked. If I definitely can tell you this on first impressions, if I got in this and drove it and you told me it was a V6, I would not bat a lash. I would definitely say, yeah, for sure, definitely V6. And the braking on it's that braking's exceptional as well. Yeah, I don't know, lots to like about this thing.